All right, we back. Another episode of No Pump Fakes. What's up, man? How we doing? Talk to me. We got it's getting closer and closer to playoff time. We got less than a month left.
Less than, I think, 10 games left, or maybe even less. Woo, it's getting spooky for
scary.
Getting spooky for a lot of teams. I'm not even gonna hold you though, Theus. Like, before we get started, like, I'm just looking at like some of these teams in the West. They don't even deserve to make the play-in. Like the whole concept of like the play-in should be like, yo, Adam Silver needs to fix that, because if the 7 and 8 seeds and the 6 seeds are 10 and 12 games above the 9th and the 10th seeds in the Western Conference, it's just like, what are we doing here? Like that kind of gets ridiculous. Like, if you can really like head into the playoffs and you're 10 games above the 9th and the 10th seed and you could possibly lose, that's insane. Like, come on, Theus.
Hey man, ratings. We got to have the playing games now. That means more people watching the television screen.
That's crazy though. That's insane.
It is what crazy. It is. You did play the cards that you're dealt. You play the cards that you're dealt. It's gonna be scary though. Some teams won't even be in the play-in. Some teams will be watching from the crib. But it's gonna be interesting though. I will say that. Hopefully. Hopefully. I had a lot of expectations get shattered this season, but it is what it is. Hopefully we get some sort of good basketball around that time. It really is crazy that it's less than a month though. It's warm out. You know what I'm saying? That is a sign. It's March Madness. We are pushing the Sweet 16. All right. But yeah, man. There's
speaking of that, somebody's team got clipped real early.
All right.
Somebody's team got clipped real early. That's crazy. All that hooting and hollering all year.
Yeah, man. Shout out to my UConn guys, man. It got nasty. I'm still a little upset. We let someone decide to score 37 points in the first round. Losing to a 12 seed is highly unacceptable. But you live to fight another day. Unfortunately, we weren't able to win the conference or get out the first round of the NCAA tournament. But hey, we've had better days. A lot of colleges aren't able to say the same. A lot of colleges aren't able to say the same. Yeah. All right. What college is that? Let's say the name. UNC.
UNC. So, diehard fan.
That's cute.
Sweet 16, baby.
Can I ask you something? I mean, I know this is usually a NBA heavily dominated podcast, but just to bring your attention to something, has your university ever won a championship with both the men's and women's in the same year? I'm just curious. Maybe they have. I just haven't.
No, but I can say one thing. Like, my women's team is not better overall than my men's team, so I'll roll with that. I'll roll with that, because when I think of UConn basketball, I don't think of the men's. I think of the women. So I mean,
that's
it is
fine.
what it is.
That's fine.
It is what it is. It is.
That's fine.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Okay, the other side of our program has 4 national championships. Oh damn, they must be doing awful. What are we doing here?
I'm just letting you know.
What are we doing here?
I'm just letting you know. Like, when we think of UConn basketball, we do not think of the guys. We think of the girls, and that's special. Shout out to the women.
That is completely fine with me. I am a UConn Husky fan.
Probably gonna get another one this year. Hopefully.
Hey,
Hopefully
the men ain't get it done. So let's hope the women's team get it done. But yeah, so we got some news today. I want to start off with Jamal Crawford officially announcing that he's retiring from the game of basketball. His contributions to the game have been crazy. Top 5 handles of all time, of course. One of the greatest 6 men to ever play the game and lace him up. Talk to me too about your thoughts on his overall announcement for retirement, his overall contributions to the game. And I know, if I had to guess, that you're a big fan of Jamal Crawford just because of the overall eye test. But you let me know. I don't want to speak for you, but yes, go ahead. You let me know.
The overall eye test, yes. One of the coldest hoopers in the game. Jamal Crawford got 4 50-point performances. I think leads to the NBA in history with 4-point plays. Like, this guy was special. Probably a top 5 NBA handle ever. Probably arguably the greatest 6-man in NBA history. In my eyes, Hall of Fame. Simple as that. That's how I feel. That's how I'm coming. Hall of Fame player. Like, people don't understand. Like, yo, Jamal Crawford could have been like a star on a lot of teams. It's crazy because we had that whole segment about talking about like role player and like superstar role player. And when you think of guys that, played the 6-man role that probably could have been the second or third option on a championship caliber team, That's how I feel about Jamal Crawford. That's why I said like he's arguably a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I'm with it. I think when you look at the overall resume, and just to even speaking on the eye test, like, you know, I think he made it cool to hoop the way he was, right? Like, a lot of players had to be conformed to a certain system, but when you watch Jamal, it was like he was actually having fun, right? It didn't seem like it was just necessarily a job or he was doing this for work, whatever. It looked like he was actually having fun. And even too, to be one of the best players ever to come off the bench and truly accept that role, right?
Yeah.
And embrace it. A lot of players can't do that, regardless of how good they are. I think that takes a certain level of pride and humility, right? To be able to say, all right, I'm still going to dominate coming off the bench. And to win it as many times as he's did, that's, you know, something special in his own right. I think, too, though, it would have been dope to kind of see him, you know, compete, obviously, for a championship, but as well as playing an all-star game. But it's one of those situations where it's like, if you know, you know. And also, too, the age at what he was doing it at. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talking about pushing 40, still giving out 50 burgers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that we really, really may not ever see again. So definitely shout out to Jamal Crawford, man. Yeah, big shout out.
I think he has an argument. I think he's a Hall of Famer in my eyes, but I think he has a real shot to make the Hall of Fame. I think he's like 8th all time in threes made in NBA history. Like, yo, he was special. He was pure game, pure scorer, handle ability, you know, quick first step off the dribble, like lightning quick to get to the rim. Like, he was different. I think people need to realize that this brother was like, he was special. Like, I think people get caught up in like, oh, the All-Star game, this and that, the MVPs and the accolades. Like, sometimes like guys are blessed to be in a situation where they can receive those awards, but sometimes guys have to take, you know, a lesser role to kind of like showcase their talent and ability because of things that may have happened early on in their career and this and that. Like, and that happens. You know, the NBA is all about accepting your role and thriving in your role. And for 20 years, Jamal Crawford was probably the best damn player in his role. So like, special player, special talent. Happy he's retiring. For him, his sake, he wants to retire or whatever. But he probably could still play. You know, you never know. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm about to say it.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't think there's 450 players that are better than Jamal Crawford. But again,
no.
I won't say this is a politics kind of thing because I mean he is kind of up there in age. Shout out to him.
Definitely,
but yeah, it's still just a testament to kind of see him hoop and everything that again like he's done for the game. No. And it's actually fun to watch too. Like I said, it's not like, you know, you watch a certain player dominate. It's like, okay, cool. We know, you know, he's about to do this. But then it's an actual show. You feel me? When you watch and play, especially, and I want to shout out to 2K too. Like using Jamal Crawford on 2K with the Clippers days were fantastic. Yeah. It was almost as if like, you know,
Knicks days too.
Oh wow! Shout out,
Knicks days too. You know, unsung hero. Like Jamal was special. He played on a lot of teams, but he was special. He was box office. Like he did an excellent job of blending like the street ball element into the NBA game, and that's what I'm always going to remember with Jamal Crawford. And then especially you watch him like over summer in the programs and stuff like that, like where he really got to get busy. Like yo, like this brother's really like cold. And to see him do what he you know, kind of did in the programs and then bring that to the NBA, it was like, yo, this brother is special. Like I said, blended that street ball element, like guys like Stephon Marbury and Steve Francis and, you know, those type of guys. Like he probably was the best at doing that, you know? So shout out to Jamal Crawford, definitely.
Absolutely. And can we do something real quick? Can we have a 6-man appreciation conversation real quick? Yeah. So obviously Jamal Crawford, right? We talked about him and his overall retirement, his time with the Hawks and Clippers and Knicks even. But also Lou Will. Yeah. Right. Also Lou Will, all-world bucket getter. If there's one thing, and it's funny too when we talk about these types of 6-men, it's like if there's one thing that you know for a fact that they're going to do, is put the ball in the hoop. Right. Everything else, all right, whatever. But you know, if Lou Williams was stepping out on that court, he was going to score. And it really, really was that simple. So,
it's a lot of guys.
For sure.
Manu Ginóbili, another guy that could have been probably the second or third best player on the championship caliber team. I would have loved to see Manu Ginóbili on his own team get busy because Manu was smooth. He was real smooth, and it was just kind of like create off the dribble, you know, slashing ability, get to the rim, passing ability. Like he was tough. He was tough, and Manu's going to Hall of Fame. So who else we got?
Of course, lefty way.
We got the Jet. Jason Terry.
Cause havoc in them finals. Cause havoc. Cause havoc. Hey, I'm saying if we go, appreciate it, we got to talk about their best moments. You feel me?
True.
I mentioned when he, got dunked on in Boston. I'm just talking about when, I'm saying he got active in the finals.
Yeah, who else? NBA champ Kevin McHale, another guy. OG legend, OG six man that people don't talk about. Like helped them Boston Celtics team win championships. He took a lesser role, but still was very impactful. Like that's what I'm saying. We look at guys like Kevin McHale, Manu Ginóbili, those guys. Like having taken that role and being still taking that role and still being a essential part of that team or those championship caliber teams is very special because like you take a back seat, but you do it for your team, but you still are value. You still they don't win those championships without Manu Ginóbili. They don't win those championships without Kevin McHale. So that's very special to see as well.
Well, if we're naming NBA champions when it comes to six men, I have to say this name as well. J.R. Smith, NBA champion. Shout out to JR. Those Denver days as well as the New York days. Very, very special. Exciting times. I think
talk about them Nuggets days.
Very special. I tell you, man, that Nuggets team was
so
JR,
talented.
AI, Melo,
man.
Kmart, Camby. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, that was special.
Come on. You want to talk about one of the most favorite teams in league history? Come on.
JR, it's crazy because J.R. Smith will get you the most electrifying 14 to 15 points a game a night. Like he would do some shit like you'd be like, God damn, he's so talented, like he's so gifted, he's so special. But it was very electric. Like those 14, 15 points was always like, damn, on them Nuggets teams, like, yo, he's different. My favorite one is the alley-oop reverse dunk.
Yeah.
I'm yo, this brother was special. It was serious in Denver.
My favorite was the
super
full
talented
court of him in Denver. I think he called Gary Neal. It was a full court and then said, "Hey," and it was like, "Wow, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing."
And that's another player that we talk about accepting his role because he was so super talented with the Denver Nuggets and stuff like that. But then later on in his career, he became a marksman. You know what I'm saying? Just a straight up 3-point sniper. So it just goes to show you that in the NBA, you can be one of the best and most talented players in the world, but you still may have to accept the role. And that's something these young kids need to figure out as well. You go to high school, when you go to college as well, if you're lucky to play overseas or you're lucky to make it to the NBA, the league and these higher level, whereas college or overseas and the NBA, it's all about accepting your role. So that's something that you can look at some of these great six-mans, and they kind of did a phenomenal job doing that.
Yeah, you're not always going to be the best player on your team, right? Yeah. I think it's important to make adjustments in this league. If you go to, playing with a certain team and now you playing with Bron, right? We talk about winning a chip. That's an adjustment. And another thing, too, about JR's story, coming straight from high school. You feel me? That's another thing. Everybody, in the NBA has been the best player on the team in high school, right? Mm-hmm. For most times, it's the same situation for college as well. But when you come in straight from high school, that just shows you, one, how real you are. And to last that long, right? Obviously, everyone talks about Kobe, T-Mac, guys that, for sure Hall of Famers to come out of high school. But
Jamal Crawford.
I mean, you talking about straight up dudes and JR that can really hoop, straight out of high school. He's in that convo. And there's very few guys who I feel could be in the 3-point competition at some point in their career, as well as the dunk contest.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to JR, man. Slam favorite, you already know. But shout out to JR Smith, man. Another 2K favorite. Another 2K favorite.
People talk about them Denver teams, but that Knicks, I used to get busy on 2K with the Knicks and JR and Melo and Iman Shumpert. I used to get busy. It was special times with that Knicks team. Everybody know. I don't know what year that 2K was. Was it 2000? Maybe 2K13?
Maybe. Don't date yourself. Now
I don't know. I don't know. It's been a while.
But that Pacers team that they played, I think, with PG and Roy. I know a lot of Knicks fans probably think to themselves that could have been either the year or that series where it's all right, this could have been the time where we really could have got busy. You know what I'm saying? But again, that just shows you, man. Sometimes in this league, you got to take advantage of that window, right? You got to take advantage of the fact that, hey, even though it might look good for the future and stuff, we got to take care of business now because you really don't know. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, who else? Six men.
Dell Curry. Dell Curry.
Educate the young folks.
3-point sniper. Man, you just get busy, catch and shoot. Marksman, like people, let's talk about it. Let's say it's some when people talk about like six man, we think of the common guys, but like it's some old OGs that used to get busy and accepted a role. And it was like I said, when we talk about Kevin McHale and stuff, but like Dell Curry's another one. Like he didn't have like the championships and stuff like some of these other players like Manu and McHale, but it's just like he was a guy that was like he carved out his own lane by becoming a six man. So
yeah. And I think too though, like being that spark off the bench, right, can literally be a game changer and an overall franchise changer. It's like, a lot of teams nowadays are top heavy in terms of like, all right, we have the duo, we have the trio, and this is our guys. But to have someone that can come off the bench and just straight up produce, especially against another team's second unit, you pretty much in a way unstoppable. But yeah, I think that was good. We didn't miss anyone on six men, did we? We got the checklist off, especially nobody current.
No, we got the checklist. We got the checklist.
Okay,
that's pretty good. Let's appreciate six man. We
of course
we gave our flowers. We gave our flowers.
Sure. So yeah, speaking of six men, someone who has never been a six man a day in his life, LeBron James. Shout out to LeBron James. Now second all time in regular season points, and I gotta ask this question:
first all time in playoff points.
Yes, sir. And we know obviously what LeBron has done over his career. No need to go over the resume; it's extensive at this point. But now I think a question that can be asked and should have been asked, maybe even a while back.
Yes.
Let me ask the question.
Yeah, you got to answer. And
this is LeBron James.
This is live. We don't
score of all time.
We don't be prepping this either. No.
Does he have a case? Does LeBron James have a case?
No.
To be made that he's the greatest scorer of all time?
No. He doesn't.
Okay. Are you saying that just because scoring may not be his best attribute?
I'm not saying
someone who's second all time.
Of course, and it's crazy. It's crazy that we talking about this because I just made a post about like people trying to minimize LeBron James' greatness. When they talk about he's an all around player and stuff like that, but he's not a pure scorer. But it's just like damn, LeBron James. Okay, he's not a pure scorer, but damn, he's second all time when we talk about scoring. He's first all time when we talk about in the playoffs. So it's just kind of like. That's where things get dicey when people try to minimize his greatness or diminish his greatness. Of course, I'm not doing that. But when we talk about just strictly scoring the ball, it's more so of like how you scoring as well. Because it's just like, can you score in like a variety of ways? I feel like LeBron James is best having that all-around game where he can score in a magnitude of ways. When we talk about like overall like just scoring, like when we talk about like just the pureness, talk about the skill set, talk about like the advanced difficulty of like how certain guys just score and operate and just natural born scores, LeBron James is not necessarily that. So when we talk about the greatest scorer of all time, that's when we start looking at like Michael Jordan. That's when we start looking at Kobe being Bryant. That's when we can even start looking at like Kevin Durant. Now, I think that's a better argument. Like, is Kevin Durant really a better scorer than LeBron James? I think that's a better like debate and conversation because like, we can get active on that really more so than like having say like is LeBron James the greatest scorer of all time. Now, to me personally, LeBron is top 5 because I don't think you cannot have LeBron James outside of the top 5, and he's first all time in playoff points, and he's about to be when he retires the number 1 active scorer in NBA history in the regular season. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to leave a guy like that off the top 5 list when we talk about greatest scorers of all time. Now, is he like a God tier scorer? No. Is he like a pure scorer? No. But like putting the ball in the hoop is putting the ball in the hoop. And it makes people uncomfortable because like, yo, this brother can put the ball in the hoop with the best of the best, and he can still give you 10,000 rebounds and 10,000 assists.
Which is crazy. But I think too, so I think we have to really dive into like the actual question itself and the definition of all this. So like a lot of people feel like the bag part, right? Like, does LeBron have a bag? Are there other players not named Kevin Durant or Stephen Curry that have a larger bag or a bigger bag than LeBron James? And I think a lot of oohs and ahs and highlights from a straight up handles perspective make people tend to forget what it means to actually score the basketball, right?
Yeah.
Putting the ball in the hoop is scoring. That's what it is. Literally, that's what it means to score. Put the ball in the hoop. So everything else that you might see is cool, but if they're not scoring at the same rate and at the same clip, you know what I'm saying? We have to acknowledge that part. And also, too, I think it comes down to, like, are you judging a scorer by his literal ability to score the ball or his ability to score the ball in different ways, right? Mm-hmm. Because being a versatile scorer and being able to score in different ways isn't the same as just being a scorer. Because if that's the case, right, we could put Wilt Chamberlain in this conversation.
Of course.
Right? Would you consider Wilt Chamberlain the greatest scorer of all time? Someone that scores 100 points in one game. I don't give a damn if, you know what I'm saying, who is his competition. 100 points is 100 points. That's right? Fair. Would you consider Steph Curry, you know, one of the greatest scorer of all time, who can score from 40 feet away? Right, mm-hmm. but you see why I'm asking this though, right?
Yeah, I know. I see why you're asking.
You know,
I definitely see why you're asking it. I don't feel like LeBron James is a better scorer than Stephen Curry. I'll take that. I'll argue with that any day of the week. But it's just like people are going to look at Stephen Curry's bag and the way he scores and his 30 and 40 foot bombs are going to be like, yo, like he got a better bag than LeBron James. He got a better bag than LeBron James. He got a better overall shot than LeBron James, but he's not a better scorer. You know what I'm saying?
Why are you saying that though? And I literally just want to know.
Why am I saying? Because LeBron James can just do things that Stephen Curry can't do. The only thing that Stephen Curry really can do better than LeBron James from a scoring attribute is shooting threes and having it clean off the dribble. And it's just like, get into the rim, slashing ability? No. Like operating the post? No. Like really like being an elite 3-level scorer compared to like, all right, we look at Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry doesn't really take mid-range. Even getting to the rim is kind of like, all right, he can get to the rim. He's effective doing that. But like, if you talk about overall 3-level package, you probably want LeBron James over Stephen Curry. So it's just like, and also like, one is going to get way harder shots, had to get way harder shots all the time compared to the other. Because LeBron James, like I said, when we talk about LeBron James prime, like it was special. Like getting to the rim, first step, unstoppable. So it's just like, when you talk about all that, it's just like, yeah, one guy is more skilled, but that doesn't make him the automatic better scorer. So that's what it comes down to when people talk about the bag and this and the bag and that and the pure scores and stuff like that. All right, cool. Like there's so many guys that have a better bag and more of a pure scorer. That does not make them a better overall scorer or a better player than somebody else. You know, we can look at Giannis right now. Giannis getting 30 and 12 every single night. It's just like he's racking up shit. And then people are gonna sit up and say that Giannis is not like a scorer. Okay, he's not like a scorer like we think of a Devin Booker or a Zach LaVine, but goddamn, like
I can't get with that statement. If you can average 30, you're a scorer. Well, I get what people mean, but people got to do better with their vocabulary. That's really what it comes down to. You can't sit here and say that someone is not a great scorer, but he's on the verge of leading the league in scoring. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, accumulate points, yeah. But some guys are it's easy for them to accumulate points, and I feel like Giannis and Luka and LeBron James and stuff like that. But when we talk about like scoring at every level, I feel like, can you be tamed? Can you be stopped? And there's certain guys that are all-time great scorers that had no weaknesses. So when we talk about putting certain guys like, oh, he's a great scorer, or LeBron James, he's the best scorer of all time. No, because it's like certain things that LeBron James like had to overcome to be like this all-time great scorers. Certain things Kobe ain't have to overcome. Kevin Durant ain't have to overcome. Michael Jordan didn't have to overcome. And it's just like certain things, and that matters. So we talk about in the playoffs, like it was a time where you could scheme for LeBron James. And I've always been like the person that loves to say like, yo, like the whole concept like LeBron James, like, you know, he can't shoot and this and that. That was like very like exaggerated, you know what I'm saying? Because I can pull up a clip in his second year where he's dropping 51 points on mainly jump shots. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, but was his game like, game like predicated on like, yo, his jumper first? No, it's more getting to the rim. You see what I'm saying? But Kobe, it's everything. Michael Jordan, it's everything. Kevin Durant, it's everything.
I don't know about that one with the Michael
For
Jordan
who?
One. What do you mean? Everything. What do you mean? The 3-point shot.
Yeah, but he averaged like 32% of his career. Michael Jordan got like a 9-point 3-point performance like in the finals, and he played in an era where he was shooting threes. Now, come on,
you're picking out. No,
I'm not picking out. I'm just saying. No, I'm not picking out. I'm just saying though. It's just kind of like if we're gonna compare eras, we got to talk about everything because like the syllabus say that Michael Jordan played in an era where the 3-point lines came during that time, and then like most guys were just taking 3-point shots, but it's just like. We seen Michael Jordan like hit 3-point shots like when it matters most and be very successful doing it. So I can't really because people love to say the same thing about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant has shot 33% for his career and stuff like that. Kobe Bryant can shoot the damn three. You know what I'm saying? Like don't get caught up in these field goal percentage and stuff like that and then talk about like when we talk about scoring. Those guys like I don't think Michael Jordan, I don't think Kobe Bryant or Kevin Durant like had really any weaknesses when we talk about scoring.
Well, and see, that's it. If we're pointing out something, right? If we're looking for something that's like, okay, here's the one thing that this player might not have, be on the resume or checklist checked off. For me, Mike would be shooting. Kevin Durant is probably the only one who I could say
3-point shooting.
Yeah, 3-point shooting. Not midi, of course. God no, but 3-point shooting. I mean, come on. I know you feel me. He might be considered a GOAT, but
I would point to error in that though. I think that's
regardless of the reason, it still wasn't there just at the same rate as, especially if we talk about KD and Kobe. Like come on, there's definitely some sort of gap there, and that doesn't mean that Mike was the worst shooter of all time. But I'm just also not about to ignore that. That was a part of his whole game. Obviously, he dominated the 6 chips and all that. But if you want to bring up weaknesses, that be the one thing I point to. Everything else. Good luck.
Mike, and you say that, but Michael Jordan's probably a better scorer than Kevin Durant, though. So that's what I'm saying. It gets dicey. Like people talk about, like, weakness. Though it's like certain 3 guys. It's just kind of like you put them in a basketball court, they're gonna score no matter what. And that's why I said they really have no weaknesses. You could point to like, you rather have Michael Jordan take the 3-point shot, but it's like, all right, damn, like it's still Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like
I wouldn't say there's no weaknesses for Mike, but there's still no way to stop him, if that makes sense. It's like, I know, right, that it's probably best to force him left. But if I can't do it, then it doesn't matter. And that's still considered a weakness. Still, all right, if I could sit here and say, all right, Giannis's weakness is that he can't shoot threes. And the game plan is to not let him shoot threes, but he doesn't shoot threes and he still gets 30. Then it don't matter what the weakness is if you can't stop him, right? And so the same thing with Mike, whether, it's the weakness, all right, he can't go left or he can't shoot threes. If you can't stop him, then it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like Kevin Durant, I really don't think offensively has any, like nothing. Like there's nothing that you can draw or write out and say, you know what, this is the thing we're going to do to stop Kevin Durant. Nothing at all. I don't know if there's
I feel the same way about Kobe and Mike. I really do. It's hard for me because I think you can have an argument about Kevin Durant and LeBron James because like LeBron James has always been people talk about Kevin Durant being an efficient scorer, but like LeBron has been very efficient his entire career scoring the basketball as well. So it's just kind of like, and has more like career, like high performances than Kevin Durant as well. So I just feel like it's like you trying to find something to, these guys are so damn great. It's hard. Like, you like looking at this and looking at that.
Of course. But the only reason why I'm doing that though is because of the gentleman that we're talking about, right? Like if I was talking about LeBron versus someone 15th on the list, I wouldn't even entertain it. But if we talk about KD, Kobe, and Michael, there's got to be something, even if it's just a small comparison. There got to be some. If we ranking them or if we talk about it,
but that's what's saying. Yeah, I'm just saying it's. I look at certain guys that like, is like those 3. Hardly any. I don't know. I just put them on the court. I think they're gonna be all right because their game is predicated on scoring and skill set first. And that's another thing we talk about, like all time scores. It's just like, what is your game predicated on? Like we can talk about Giannis. Giannis can get you 30 and 12, but like you talking about like, he get you 30 and 12, but it's just like in the playoffs, I've seen Giannis kind of like struggle. That's what people gonna talk about LeBron James. In the playoffs, we've seen like, teams game plan for LeBron James. He's overcome a lot of stuff. Like he's got way more playoff successes than, failures, of course. But it's just like, but in the playoffs, nobody was stopping Mike, game plan or not. Nobody was stopping Kevin Durant, game plan or not. Nobody stopping Kobe Bryant, game plan or not. Like they may stop themselves if they missing like shots that they normally make, but that's about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think teams were actually like defensively game planning and really having success stopping Kobe, stopping Kevin Durant, and stopping Michael Jordan. I seen them stop themselves by missing easy shots, by taking difficult shots and stuff like that, and kind of like those shots not going in. That they're even though like they're accustomed to making those difficult shots, because like you look at Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant probably get fouled every time he touches the damn basketball. You know what I'm saying? They're in his airspace that much, and it doesn't really get called because he's such a effective scorer, effective shooter, and he's so tall, he shoots over defenders. So I don't know, it's levels, but LeBron's top 5 for me though, for sure.
Of course. And I would say one thing too about Michael and Bron is that they definitely made adjustments. Like with Mike, obviously with the series he had against the Pistons, getting his strength and stuff like that, because obviously that's a huge part of it, right? The mental toll of it too, as well as the physical. So there was an adjustment for improvement. Same thing with Bron. I mean, you mentioned the lack of shooting that Bron had to deal with from critics and stuff on the outside early on in his career. But another thing that people talked about was the lack of post up, right? Yeah. Like we see it now, it's there now, but it wasn't always like that. You know what I'm saying? And to reach this point in his career, I think people are seeing, especially the younger generation, right? We're seeing like grown man Bron, right? Pushing 2 decades of Bron. So now versus younger Bron, when he was with Miami and even Cleveland, it was true athleticism, right? It was true combination of peak athleticism and skill. And it's still like that now. Like, don't get me wrong, but like it was scary early on, to the point where like, okay, once Bron figured out like who he really was, like obviously again, he was number 1 overall pick, came out of high school, we all knew what he was capable of, but you could just tell that there was a switch, right? That there was like, yo, I'm him. Like there's nobody else like even remotely close to me, right? Like it was one thing for him to be viewed that way at an early age, because okay, he's just better than everyone else his age, right? We may not put him in the certain category just yet, but once he realized what type of time he was on, it was different, right? You go back to the Miami Heat days, you can just kind of tell like, all right, in 8 straight finals is nasty. Like, man, we talk about certain records that may not ever be touched.
Yeah.
8 straight finals. Like, it is challenging to get to 2 straight.
Yeah.
To go to different teams, come on, man.
Yeah, and you know me, I'm all about scoring, and I'm all about guys putting the ball in the hoop. But it's just kind of LeBron was different. I think that's why, and LeBron feels slight about it. He comes out and talks about it like, yo, how come people don't talk about him being this when it comes to scoring? They talk about this and that. But look, he's people confuse the most important aspect in the game. I always say is putting the ball in the damn basketball hoop. That's what the game is about. Can you put the ball in the basketball hoop? And I feel like LeBron James does that exceptionally well. But it's just like, it's people like don't want to give him enough credit because like, yo, he's not a pure scorer. He's not a scorer first. He doesn't have the scorer first mentality. But it's just like, best scorer has always been the best player. Like, it's LeBron James. He's been the best scorer. He's been the best player. Kevin Durant, best scorer, best player. Michael Jordan, best scorer, best player. Kobe Bryant, best scorer, best player. So it's just kind of like, he has every right to feel like, yo, stop just talking about my all-around game. Like, talk about, I'm one of the best scorers ever. You know what I'm saying? Because best scorer means that you're normally the best player. And that's just how Kareem, best scorer, best player. Like, we got too many guys that have had like, you know, we can really say this about. Maybe Kareem is a stretch, but still.
No, I was about to say, because it's funny, low-key, we didn't even mention Kareem, but longevity plays a factor for him as well. Yeah. But yeah, so we talk about LeBron, obviously, you know, reaching this record and milestone, but being on multiple teams. But now, 2 guys out there that have stayed with one team have just been announced that they'll be out for the rest of the regular season. We got Damian Lillard and Zion Williamson, 2 players who are on franchises that I know you love dearly. So let's get active with Nola first, right? Let's talk about Zion and the Pelicans. What does that mean that Zion is officially out for, or likely to be out for the rest of the regular season?
It means they're a playing team. They may get into play-in, they may not get into play-in. I don't think Zion coming back healthy was really going to change that, because, you know, you guys got to get their chemistry right. Guys got to get their, you know, in NBA game shape right. So I don't think it would have really done much. I think it's smart for Newark and Pelicans like just wait and then like say, you know, come back fresh next year. I think Zion should be excited though. Like he has a lot of talent. Like he made all these rumors and stuff about does he want to be there? Nobody gives a damn about that. Like you got Brandon Ingram, you got CJ McCollum. You're less than 24 years old. Like what is he, 22? I don't even know how old he is. He's still a baby.
It's crazy, right?
But, you know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like you're blessed. You're blessed to be in a very great situation compared to other young guys, because some young guys ain't got Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum, you know, to go to war with. So come back, get healthy, get right.
Shit, man. I know Ja would enjoy having CJ and
If Ja had Brandon Ingram, we may be talking about the Memphis Grizzlies going to the finals. And he ain't got Brandon Ingram, and people are still talking about the Memphis Grizzlies going to the finals. Not me, of course, but like it's people that feel that way.
That's tough.
It's people that feel that way.
Hey, I mean, if you're winning games, it only makes sense for people to put you, you know what I'm saying, in the conversation of you possibly winning or going to the finals. I'm not mad at it. But it sucks. So, I mean, for Zion's sake, I mean, obviously, health will always be a huge factor, especially for someone that young. I hope him and the Pelicans can continue to work it out. And to your point, too, he's young, right? So, like, it's not like he's on the verge. Now, the other guy that we're getting ready to talk about in a minute may not be so young, but I think for Zion's sake, it's just like, you know, patience really can be a virtue in some of these types of situations, especially at that age. You know, like it's not to a point where, all right, you look around left to your left and your right, it's like, damn, I've been here for 10 years and we still ain't did shit. I mean, there's still some things. I think the future can be very bright. I'm still a believer in that BI and Zion can do some great things on the court, as well as, you know, with the addition of CJ McCollum. But I mean, hey, and they started off the season kind of wacky. And so if they can, you know, obviously make the play-in game or the play-in tournament, who knows what could happen, right? In situations like that, all it takes is one game. And who knows if they do win play-in, let's say who they, you know, decide to play or end up playing in the first round. Who knows? Might end up playing your favorite team, the Jazz. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with that. Hopefully Zion can get back healthy and we can see him flourish, because the brother is special. I think people are kind of like giving up on him a little bit too fast, and it kind of makes me a little uncomfortable, because it's just like, damn, this kid was just dropping 26 points per game, shooting 60% from the field. I know he had his lower, you know, foot injuries and stuff like that, you know, lower body injuries and stuff like that. But like, yo, let's pump the brakes. So people are calling him a bust and this and that. Like, people need to slow the hell down. It's just like, let me remind you, like, Ben Simmons missed a year. Joel Embiid missed 2.5 years. Look at Joel Embiid right now. Like, sometimes it happens. Sometimes it's worth, like, sitting out, getting your body right so you can have a longer career, so you can extend your career, you know what I'm saying? And not playing through injuries until you're 100% healthy. And we know that Zion Williamson is not just a phenomenal basketball player, he's a phenomenal brand. Like, he has so much going for him. Like, yo, he has a Jordan shoe. Like, he has all the marketability stuff. Like, it's not just like, yo, people love to talk about like the NBA and they run this and stuff like that. When you talk about players on their roster, no, it's like, yeah, they have a say, but you know who else has a say? These damn endorsement sponsorships and deals that they have. Like, Jordan has a say when he comes back on the court. Like, Gatorade has a say when he comes back on the court. Like, yo, it's a lot of money that they're giving to Zion Williamson. They just don't want to have him come on the court and not be right. So let's slow it down, folks, when we start talking about bust, because you're going to look like an ass when he comes back and he's dropping 30 and 7 and 4 a game, shooting 60% from the field.
On your favorite team, too.
Yeah.
Hey. And it's funny, too, a lot of people call him a bust, but I guarantee you most teams out there would love to have Zion Williamson on their team.
Yeah. That's why people love the drama. People love he wants to get out of New Orleans. You damn right. People love that, because if they get any like sense of like, yo, he's unhappy, he wants out, or if he comes out and says he wants out, like, you know how many teams gonna be knocking to try to get him, because he's worth that risk. He's worth the risk at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you think about like a lot of the young guys in the league, you know what I'm saying, in comparison to, and I mean, obviously I know the injuries and stuff and the you know, the not making the playoffs and all that is one thing, but at the same time, you still see greatness, right? You still see potential in Zion. This is not just a all right, he had a couple games where he did all right. No, like he's not going anywhere. So you just get used to that.
Get healthy.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. Just get healthy.
Yeah, you can make this one next short. Go ahead. Talk about your Blazers. Dame is out. Dame been out.
Hey.
They just announced it. He been out. They just announced it officially. He's been out.
So yeah.
Portland Trail Blazers, congrats. Dame helped y'all get high draft picks. Y'all will have 2 first-round draft picks in this upcoming 2022 NBA draft. Let's see what you do with them, because you ain't going to trade them. So that's what I want to know. What Dame
trade him or them? Trade the picks or trade Dame?
Trade the picks. That's what I want to see. Like, if Dame talks about like he believes he can win like with the Portland Trail Blazers and they feel like that they can win with Dame, like trade the picks. You know how many teams will be coming knocking for like 2 first-round picks? Trade them.
But see, no, if I'm Dame, I still want to get traded. Because then it comes down to, okay, what does that ultimately do? Does that make your team better instantly? Sure.
No,
absolutely.
What, the picks?
Yeah. No, I'm saying like if you trade the picks, right, for a well-established player right now.
Star, yeah.
Yeah, you get better, but depending on who the player is, are you winning a championship?
Yeah. Well, not everybody's goal is to win a championship.
And it needs to be Dame's.
He said. I mean, he wants to win a championship with Portland, but it seems like it's just a disconnect because that's not their goal. Their goal is not to win a championship. So I don't know why he says like he wants to win a championship with Portland. He wants to do it his way. I get that he wants to do it his way, but Portland's goal is not to win a championship. Their goal is to use you, Dame, and to put fans in the stadiums. That's their goal. Keep being a first round exit. That's their goal. That's been their goal. They should have been trying to trade a CJ McCollum. Everybody knew they needed a wing. They needed a wing 3 years ago. Still ain't getting nobody. They traded for Norman Powell and they got rid of him. Worth for nothing. So they're not trying to win. This is a restart. Dame is in a rebuild. He may not want to accept it. He may not want to hear it, but I don't know because Dame says a lot of stuff to me. But to be honest, like Dame is very comfortable. He talks about he wants to like win a championship in the Portland Trail. He's very comfortable. Because if anybody that wants to really like win a championship at this stage of their career, you know it's not Portland. You know what you need to do. So it is what it is.
That's tough.
It is what it is.
I mean, I can't even sit here and disagree with you. I mean, it's one of those situations where it's like, all right, what's next? Right? Like, what exactly, are you trying to do? The money, secure the bag. I ain't never gonna be mad at that. But like,
it's about the money.
You can't, the winning of the championships. And it's clear. You make a good point. It's clear that. Now I won't say that Dame, and the Trailblazers aren't on the same page, but like, you can't sit here and say with a straight face that the Trailblazers aren't trying to win a championship. You cannot sit and believe that, and you can't.
And you can't. They on the same page. They know what they do. They on the same page. And Dame can't sit and tell the world that he feels like he can win a championship with the Portland Trailblazers. The ship is sailed.
Well, but the thing is, Dame wants to win a championship in addition to getting paid. Like it ain't. I don't like to your point. Who knows if the Trailblazers actually want? Like they'll say it, of course.
Dame, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Dame's priority is not winning a championship. He can tell y'all that lie. He can talk about his priority is not winning a championship, and that's fine. Like, it's the safe face. Dame is about his bag. He's about his multi-million-dollar deal with the Adidas. He's about his multi-million-dollar extension he's about to give to Portland Trailblazers. His goal is not to win a championship. His goal is to be one of those guys that, like, everybody's going to love and people are going to talk about it. Had an underrated career and one of the all-time greats, and then you're going to look back at it and you're going to be like, well, like, did he go to the Western Conference Finals? Does he have an all-NBA first team? Does he have an MVP? Does he have a scoring title? And you start looking back, it's like, yeah, he was very underrated, but it's just like, why did he stay with the Portland Trailblazers? And that's what it is, bro. Like people can sell you stuff. Like the political correct thing is like, yeah, I want to win a championship with the Portland Trailblazers. That's what I want, and that's what I want to be the guy and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you know it, I know it, the NBA knows it. Like, how could you sit up and really? I would feel uncomfortable coming out and say that my goal is to win a NBA championship with the Portland Trailblazers after 10 years of nothing. You know what I'm saying? After 10 years of nothing, it's not like they've been close. It's not like this is a James Harden situation with James Harden knocking on the damn door and gets fed. You know what I'm saying? He got fed up, and he had like moments where he was almost there. Dame has never had any moments that he's almost been there. So the fact that you're going to sit up and say that, oh, my goal is to win a championship with the Portland Trailblazers, no, it's not. And I'm tired of the games. Like, I'm tired. I told you I don't want to talk about the Portland Trailblazers until next year, bro. I don't want to talk about Dame until next year because it's really like frustrating because he'll come out and we'll hear these reports and this and that goes on. It's just like, damn, like, yo, I love Dame, respect him as a player. He's a phenomenal talent, 4-level scorer, a rare breed in the NBA. But like, bro, like, you're not trying to win a championship. You're trying to get your bag, and that's cool. You're trying to get your stats, and that's cool. And that's what you're going to be remembered by. An all-time great talent, underrated, that probably spent way too many years in Portland. It is what it is.
In fact, that's really what it is, too. It's like, it is what it is. You kind of accept it. I mean, you can't go back and change anything, but you wish you could have, though. Right? I feel like it's a slightly similar situation to KG.
Yeah.
With the Timberwolves, and like, he left, got him a ring. He might have had a team up with other, players, Hall of Famers, but guess what? He just got his jersey, retired by that same organization that he went to.
That one ring stamped him so much, and it's crazy because he went to Boston and he did it in his first year with the Big Three, with the Celtics. And not only that was kind of like the last year of his true prime. You know what I'm saying? You really look at back in those, that was the last year of Kevin Garnett's true prime. It's crazy to think about, like, yo, we talk about like Kevin Garnett, like guarding wings, like can handle the ball, probably argue the most skilled power forward of all time. I still think it's, other guys above him, but like he's still in that category, like phenomenal defender, crazy mid-range game. And it's just like his last year at his prime, he finally like, got fed up and went to the Boston Celtics and won a championship. And it's crazy because it's like, I just hope for Dame's sake, Portland honors, like, it doesn't get into a situation where it's just like they give him this contract and then Dame realized, like, I don't think he's gonna realize that because I feel like they're on the same page. But it's just like, we know what happens if he's not the same him, because he had a lot of injuries and stuff, like wear and tear of carrying that damn franchise on his back for years catches up with you. And if he comes back, he's not healthy, and he's not showing like producing, and he's not like this guard that's like James Harden, James Harden is kind of like showing like, okay, James Harden may not be what we were accustomed to seeing. But like James Harden is still going to be effective later on in his 30s because of his passing ability, his ability to run the offense and show. We don't see that same like stuff from Dame when we talk about like running the show. Like, he's a scoring first point guard. Like, he puts the ball in the hoop, and if you can't do that like you used to do, you're gonna have to hit the drawing board. And then the Blazers may look around like, damn, we paying them a lot of money. We trying to rebuild. It's just like, then it may get like a very, very toxic relationship. I hope it's not true. But we seen it happen with stars, so.
Yeah, we have. And I mean, if he ends up, that's the crazy thing too. If Dame decides to leave, no one is going to get mad at him. No one is going to, outside of PDX, right, outside of Portland, no one is going to be confused.
I don't even think Portland will get mad at him.
No, they probably will. Especially, it's not just because of the fact that, he's been there so long. Some of it is probably because he said he doesn't want to leave. Some of it is because, like, all right, you've grown so attached. Like, he hasn't voiced frustrations, right? He hasn't
a little bit played.
Well, yeah, but like, it's that's just a little bit.
He ain't came out.
It's a dabble.
He ain't came out and say I want to be traded. So
that's what I'm saying. I want to leave. You come out and say that, then all right, well, be gone. But it's like the connection is definitely there. So
it's nobody. They're gonna have 2 first-round draft picks. Hopefully, they get the number 1 overall pick. Maybe they get a Jabari Smith or something, or Pablo. Who knows? Knowing them, they probably
banged on the other day though.
Knowing them, they probably, with their history in selecting draft picks, they'll probably pick check over those 2.
Whoever if Portland get the first pick, whoever get the second pick should be happy as hell. Yeah, because that means luck is in your favor.
Because they're probably not gonna pick the best player in the draft. That's all I'm saying.
I got you. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Go ahead.
I'm saying no more free Dame shirts. I don't want to hear none of that bullshit.
Yeah, it is what it is.
That's what it is at this point.
But yeah, y'all. Couple housekeeping items before we slide. Of course, you already know. 5-star rating on wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Make sure you subscribe. All right, on YouTube. No pump fakes everywhere. All right. And last but not least, before we let y'all go, I got a quick shout out to make. All right. Shout out to the Bloomfield High School Warhawks for getting that Connecticut State Championship, baby. Amal, you did a shout out on a 314. Shout out to St. Louis. All right, but today I got to shout out the home team, man. I got to shout out the home team. I went out to Mohegan Sun and see them boys get out and get that dub. They rep the town proud, man. So shout out to the 06002 Bloomfield High School Warhawks on getting that state championship, man. And just like that, we gone, y'all. Peace.
It's your boy, McHale Smith, also known as A-Kiss. Make sure you guys go follow No Pump Fakes wherever you get your podcasts.